made available for the homeowners to view?
You can come and read any contract we sign, sure.
Okay.
Can they read the previous historical stuff?
The law says
I
2 years.
2 years
The
back.
The new law going into effect on January 1 says that homeowners have the right to see all current contracts as well as past contracts up to 2 years.
But look, we don't have any incentive. We have absolutely no reason to want to hide contracts. If you've gotten a different impression or hide financials, it's just that Lynn, who is one of the few people on the board who is a professional in her area, she spotted the inadequacies of that 2011 thing that Nina was mentioning. She's been trying to firm up and professionalize the way that we keep our accounts. And she's been nervous about just universal disclosure of every check, every cent, every internal document. And I'm not entirely clear why she was concerned about that, but we are going to make everything available, but we are running it, make sure that we're not violating our own laws or state laws. But I don't see any reason to hide these things myself, and I'm not interested in hiding what contracts we signed in the past. I read the things. I'm happy that you read them. I mean, I read some of them. I read the siding contracts. So there's not any problem there.
And to speak to that further, we're homeowners too, right? We're not going to pursue a bad contract. There was no incentive for us to do that. In fact, there's a lot of disincentive, right? And we're in the same boat you guys are.
Yeah, the thing that I personally am reacting to is that, I ask the question and I don't get a response, and I ask the question and I don't get a response, and so that makes me, as somebody who's relying on you to do this very difficult job, it makes me nervous when I can't, and particularly having grown up with parents who are accountants. If I can't see the numbers, that makes me really nervous.
Sure.
Me too.
Well, let me, please.
I just want to, I just need a little help understanding something, and I don't know if someone in this room could help me understand. So if we paid the same fee, I'm always about, like, what am I buying? So if we paid the same fee for siding, $1,375, and they're getting new siding and they're going to get insulation and we're not, I just want to know, how does that, could someone, I need to understand that.
Well, right now, first of all, I didn't have the money, so I just asked the siding vendor, can you include an installation option? And because I didn't have the money, the way we presented it to 3345, which was on deck for next, was a la carte, where the owners would pay for the installation.
They have in the past.
And so that's where it is right now. So if it's budgeted,
So you're going to get charged a fee.
right now it was $800 for a one bedroom, $1,000 for a two bedroom, and $1,200 for a corner two bedroom.
No, but you didn't.
we never got that
have
option.
insulation put into it.
I wasn't managing
Yeah,
that.
that's what I was asking.
The first thing I did was say I want insulation. I love insulation.
I would too, I'm free.
But I didn't have the money for it, so I couldn't just add it, so I did it a la carte.
That, I understand, I'm clearer now. I just wish I had insulation.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You know?
Well, and my building was sided, and I didn't do it. I did my windows, and I don't know if I may end up having to have them do it, with the thing in place where they drill in from the inside, and, it's
Yeah.
They can do that.
They
Quick
can.
haircuts done, yeah.
They can do it, yeah.
If you're on the bottom floor. it's
Let me
probably
also
more
say something, because I think it might help to explain Jackie's disquiet, not you personally, but this brand of disquietude, right? We want to be as transparent as we possibly can be, but I also want Barney to not spend his entire day answering information requests.
Yes.
He's not an information agency. He's got a lot on his plate, and since the assessment, the requests for information have been amped up by tenfold. And so I would honestly say that my own impression is that if there's been any impression that there's a lack of timely response, it's both because of the amount of requests that he's been getting, and because we have a board member who raised questions, and she's the only one who's worked for a corporation. Now, of course, corporate standards about transparency are very different from HOA and non-profit associations like businesses like ours are. And so I'm happy to go with full transparency wherever possible. We're not trying to drag our feet on it. If it seems slow, it's only because trying to make sure that there's not anything problematic about revealing everything.
So the solution that I would, if in your place, that I would begin implementing is to make sure that the information is on tap when it's requested, so we don't have to have Barney
Right.
spending half of his day.
Right.
Just okay. Anybody who wants to see it, it's over here.
Absolutely. And that is something we're going to be doing, certainly with all of the, going forward with all of this, the infrastructure upgrade replacement projects. Contracts will be available when we've got them. We, in fact, I just had an exchange with our lawyer about, how far can we go in getting you guys involved in looking at bids when we are at that stage, given that there is a timeliness issue. And it sounds like the way that has to be managed is, if we have time, this roof was decided by the board back in July, if I'm not mistaken. However,
This
all
roof was decided last year, but
But
then
all-
we had another roof and it pushed it back.
I see, right. So we have every reason to want to let homeowners see bids and hear in a board meeting why we have gone with one bid rather than another, so that there'll be a chance for feedback from homeowners about that before we make a decision. But then once we make a decision, we have to stick by it. And so we're going to try to institute that kind of front loading, and we do have time for a lot of what we just committed to doing. We haven't signed any contracts. We haven't even decided for sure on vendors, except for the siding project, because there's nobody else offering it.
Washing machine is also a contract.
Well, but Mac Ray is not a part of our infrastructure upgrade.
Have you heard about intentional communities in Colorado?
You mentioned it last
It's a nonprofit
time.
organization.
Yeah, you
that
mentioned
does
it.
case studies.
Mhm.
And I gave Barney a book with the acts and so forth. Did that have any of the case studies in it?
It did have case studies in it,
Something to look into?
You mean you actually read them?
Sonny,
Yes, dear, who am I talking to?
Jackie, get with me after the meeting, and we can do a little bit of
Okay.
research, and I can distribute that information.
I'm really very impressed with them. I talked to them several years ago, but when my granddaughter disappeared, everything went on the plate.
Minutes.
So, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, get with me after the meeting, and we'll look a couple of things up on the internet.
Barney, the minutes aren't in here.
Yeah, they're not.
Well, that's what, I mean, that's what, look, there are limits. Do you want to literally see every check we've ever cut, an explanation for what it's paid for? What the money that we're, our annual budget is. Sure, sure. Well, generally, that's what this monthly thing you guys should be getting.
Oh, you mean?
Well, as far as we know, it's as accurate as we can make it. It's as accurate as, I mean, we have Lynn, and Lynn is looking over every, she signs checks that are over a certain amount. She looks over, every monthly financial, she constructs the financials, she looks at what the bookkeeper gives her, so she does look at all things that are spent. And there are explanations in case of where
This is what 66 looks like.
Oh, it's like what 55 looks like.
I'm not, that's beyond my, I don't. So folks, I'm gonna have to pull this meeting back together because we have a number of official items that have to be taken care of. So I'm gonna count what I've been saying about in response to the various questions as my report. We don't have minutes for some reason, so we can't approve them this time.
That will be delayed, I guess, till next.
The treasurer's report, we have attachments for that, but I would be more comfortable if, since we're already gonna get some advice about this thing in general, if we wait till Lynn is here to go over both this month's, previous months and next month's, rather than try to, because I don't think we have anybody that can speak to any particular issues that might be raised about this financial statement since Lynn isn't here.
Right.
Okay? So
As
I'm gonna,
usual, I have questions.
I know, and I want the person who can answer them to be here.
Right.
Listen, I'm sorry about the minutes, they're not ready. I had too much stuff to put together today, so,
We'll deal with that.
Well, we have to
That's
push
not
it to
one
the
of
next
our most
meeting.
important issues.
I mean, half the people here were at the last meeting, so they heard the meeting.
Okay, so we've done that one. Oh, we've done that one. Barney, I want you to give, with the board's agreement, I want to hear his manager's report next month.
Yeah,
You got it.
All that stuff is a
Except,
monthly
I
thing.
got a request.
We have the paperwork on.
Yeah,
it.
no
We need to do some of those, I've asked for it last year, and you promised
On
to have
doors.
it done.
On doors.
On the roof, door that goes to the roof,
Oh, yeah, the hatch doors.
and the doors,
So,
your building was done.
we have one,
The doors that go to the outside, they need to be done.
do we need to talk about water drainage, or can we talk about that next time?
Talk about it next time.
Good. So we have one last thing to talk about, because we just don't have time, we just have, So the board needs to go into executive session.
No.
What?
If we're doing it for the open position,
Uh-huh.
you can't vote in an executive. Cheryl, explain that, please. That we do not go into executive.
Well, you can, I wasn't the one that brought that up.
I brought it up.
Well,
The bylaws.
executive session, somebody said you're not supposed to hold a vote in executive session. You can have the discussion,
Oh, that's true.
if
Well,
you're gonna, you
look,
can have your
I
discussion
don't
and
feel,
then.
I was surprised to see the executive session mentioned. Are the two people who are considering working for the board, willing to talk about this out in the open?
Yes.
Beautiful, then I see no reason.
Okay.
Not, if you're fool enough to be willing to offer your services, then I see no reason, then I think you should be a fool in public. So, please introduce yourselves. No, it's fine.
Yeah, right. So, let me back up a little bit. So, hi, I'm Matt Sonneborn. I've offered myself as a potential board member. I have some experience overseeing large construction, maintenance budgets and things of that nature. I currently work as a communication consultant for various not-for-profits and startups and things like that in the Boulder area. And I think that having a communication specialist would be a great way to make sure that a lot of the problems we've been having don't happen again, that we have transparency where we need it, that we're following all the different codes and regulations that we need to be following, and that we're communicating well between the board and the residents, on the board itself, and of course among the residents themselves as well. So, Matt Sonneborn, communication specialist. Hit me up if you have questions or want to grab a card or something like that.
Sounds good to me.
Right on, Matt.
Now we're just going in for.
Last name?
Oh, yeah. Soda board?
We just put that gentleman on the board.
Yes. Yeah.
We're about to.
You get the vote.
Unless
So,
somebody's-
my name is Jenny Fraker. I've also expressed interest in serving Remington Post in our community. I have been working in business for several years. I've worked for nonprofits for several years, and I would love the opportunity to help and provide, new insight and new direction. I would say the three things that are most important to me at Remington Post are professional competent management, which was discussed tonight, just having very clear and understandable financials, which has been requested and talked about tonight. And the third one is really just that as a community, we're able to abide by, understand, and live under all of these different regulations and laws that are coming into effect. So those are the three things I'm passionate about as far as Remington Post goes, and the three things that I would love to help the board directed to. So.
Okay. And Jenny, what's your last name?
Fraker, F-R-A.
Okay, Jenny Fraker, wonderful. Okay,
K-E-R.
let me explain something about what's involved in taking a position that has been vacated by a former member. If the board has the power to vote to accept replacements, if you replace someone, then you finish out their term. Now, lucky for you two, both of the positions that were vacated were positions recently, won by election back in March. So I believe, now, do we know whether these are both 3-year terms or?
They were 3-year terms.
These are both 3-year terms. So We need a motion to invite